for those people who might not know what Well-Read Mom is, could you maybe explain a little bit how it's different than maybe a typical book club? Because I think even for me, I've encountered many a book club, but I feel like Well-Read Mom has kind of a particular quality that makes it unique.
Well, I think the origin of starting from this cry of the heart for a place of meaningful connection. So right away, you've got a longing for community in a deeper way. Because oftentimes at church or in town, you run into someone in the grocery store, and it can kind of be small talk, or you talk about how busy you are, what your kids are in. But literature gives us a place to come and talk about. We might read a book like East of Eden and end up talking about marriage, and no one knew we were going to talk about this angle of marriage. But there's many book lists out there, right? You can see book list after book list online. But Well-Read Mom's different because of the origin. And it's also different because when we decided to do this, I said, Beth, let's get together. Let's read great, worthy books, really good books for 5 years. You get some friends from St. Paul, where you live. She was newly married with Catherine and living in a little apartment. I'm up north in Crosby, Minnesota. I'll get some friends in my area. Let's really do this. I'll put together the book list. So I went to my bookshelves. They didn't look like this, but these are amazing. I might just stay here, just kick back. Anyway, I went to my bookshelves at home. I pulled all these books and put them on the rug just like this. I put piles of books on my rug. And I thought, okay, I'm going to make a 5-year book list. How do I do this? So I had them all setting out. And I thought, how do I organize these books for this 5-year book list? Because I had the epics of ancient Greece and Rome, and on to St. Augustine's Confessions and Dante, so I was arranging them that way chronologically. And then I thought, I have a problem because I don't really want to be in this book club because we read all of these books. We really do. And I think it's great to read them chronologically. But for women, this book club needs to be ordered and structured in a way that fits a woman's life, right? So shorter reads during the months of holidays, when there's Christmas, or spiritual classic during Advent and Lent, and short stories during, times that are busier. So this got to work for a woman's life. So I was just praying about how to start it, how to organize the books. And one day I was reading Pope John Paul's letter to women, and which I love. And he was thanking women for their various gifts. Thank you, women who work. Thank you, women who are mothers. Thank you, women who are daughters and sisters and friends. And it just struck me, that's it. Let's organize the books according to sort of the capacities or a woman's life. Every woman's a daughter. Every woman is a friend, and every woman works. And it's for all women. Not everyone is married and a biological mother, but ontologically, there's that feminine mothering that we're all called to. So it's for all women, and yeah.
It's nice to have, as you mentioned, East of Eden, but then Two Old Women, right. Which are different commitments, but still, as you say, kind of rich jumping off points for meaningful discussion with other mothers, with my own mother for Two Old Women. That was right. a great jumping off point for my own family. I wonder if you could talk maybe a little bit more. I know some of this kind of came out in what you were just saying about kind of how you try and structure for women particular methods of reading, or kind of like a particular approach to literature. This is something I really noticed, kind of maybe even implicitly as well as explicitly in the Well-Read Mom materials. But how did you kind of develop this approach to literature that has kind of characterized the distinctive nature of Well-Read Mom? And are there any like particular influences besides John Paul II?
Well, our family, my husband and I, we've been involved in communion and liberation, and Father Giussani often talked about your own experience, learning to see your own experience and look at that and look at. So that practice was weekly school of community has been helpful, but also just in reading literature, like I'm not a scholar, I'm not an academic, but I recognize, in fact, I remember when I was, well, I'm going to go back because after we decided to do this for 5 years, I was sitting around the table with Beth and Catherine and my other daughter, my daughter-in-law, Steph, and her new baby, and Isaac, and I said, let's really do this. And Steph said, well, if we're going to do this, and Beth was going to invite friends, and I was going to invite friends, she said, if we're going to do something for women, let's make it beautiful. Let's do it in a beautiful way. And I remember just tearing up because I thought, yes, who does something really beautiful for moms? Sometimes we're the ones who would do everything to make everything beautiful, but something really beautiful for women staying home who are, doing the most important work in the world, arguably, talking, looking in little eyes and wiping noses and helping to nurture a person. What is more important? So let's do something really beautiful. So Steph sat down at my kitchen table and sketched out that silhouette, and we called it Well-Read Mom, and we had that went on the very first postcard. So I had these 23 postcards inviting 23 or 22 women to my home, and Beth had the postcards. Like we were going to really invite them to something, a clear proposal to discuss great and worthy books from the Western and Catholic tradition. So the proposal was clear, but then I have these postcards. I'm taking them to this blue mailbox on Main Street. I live in a small town with one stop sign on Main Street. And I have these postcards, and my hand's in the mailbox, my arm is in the mailbox, and I can't drop the postcards because I'm so afraid. All of a sudden I thought, if I drop these postcards, like these things are going to go out, and this means concretely, it was such a risk because at that, I remember the moment I thought, but I'm not a scholar. Like I'm not an academic. Who do I think I am inviting? I'm going to do these introductions on a book. I'm not an expert. And then I understood that I'm a person, and these great books were written for ordinary people like me. We don't need to be, in academia somewhere. Now, we will interview professors. I've interviewed professors here at Benedictine. Brother Levin writes for us. So, of course, we want people who can help us glean insight. But these books were written for ordinary people, not, they're written for people like me. And they help me live. They help me live in a fuller life. I see more. I see more when I'm in the pages of this kind of literature. I see more in my life.